right, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, 22nd of July. I had to look at the date. Just 1 second, let me pull up. All right, we've got that. And then let's pull up the chat. What's up, Dad? First on today. Impressive. All right, we got Vicky on. Good to see you, Vicky. All right, guys, what we're going to do for the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about our newest handwritten things that I'm going to finale very soon. In our Chord Academy, you guys make sure you get the link to that as well as our all access group. You guys have been signing up for that. All it is a bunch of handwritten PDFs. So let's go ahead. Let me put the link so that our Chord Academy can get this as well. You can have all the chords to play all the chords and do all kinds of cool things, but you need to have context with it. So that's why we're doing these ideas as well. And I'm showing you how to do them in all keys. That's the fun part. And even for my beginners out there, you guys can do this. And it's just about learning how to practice. And you're going to start to get some awesome success as you're transposing these. All right, let me put this link in the description, then we'll just dig right in and have some fun. Good to see you, Vance. Vance is signed up for this. Vicky signed up. All right, and Dad, I think you're signed up as well. And when I mean signed up, you just asked for access to the folder, and I approved it because you're either a YouTube member, you're a Chord Academy member, or you're an All Access member. All right, here we go. So let's talk about a couple of things related to chord tones that are so important. And we will use chords in this lesson. Let's stay in C for a minute and just talk about if I want to improvise and I use in a jazz world, you have a Dorian scale, right? Yeah, it's a beautiful day in the hood. Vance, it is a beautiful day wherever you are. So the first thing is this. Dorian scale is this all white notes in the key of C, right? So I say in the key of C. C major is all white notes, right, for your C major, and D Dorian from the key of C, we do D Dorian, it's all white notes. So that's the flat third of the D major scale, and then up in the flat 7 of the D major scale. So as we do that, I want you to notice some awesome chord tones. If I do D minor 9 and I go, all those are chord tones on downbeats. And that'll sound great as well if I want to go, right? I go to the G, which would be like 2-5. Hey, Rick, good to see everybody. Say hey to Rick, the Gandalf of iMusicAcademy. And notice that this is ear training as well. Or I kind of like that one. And you go 1, 2, 3, 5. You can practice your 1, 2, 3, 5, which is number 6 on this list. Let me double check that. Is that number 6 on this list? Actually, it's number 8. And just a reminder, it's great to practice that on dominant chords, the 6th chord, and for the minor, you just go minor 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, flat 3, 5. Now, if you're in the key of C minor, so you go, if you want, so here I'm going C minor, you go up the scale, that's the easy way to do it, and you go B flat, right? All right, now let's do a couple more keys, and then we'll go on to some really interesting connections we're going to do. Remember that if I'm in D minor, I like that sound of going up a 4th, so, right? Let's do it a few more. If you understand that, put got it in the chat. I'm just doing 2, 5, 1. So you're getting your ear training in with just one idea. So if I was playing, once again, take the A train and I go, when it goes to dominant, I can go either D or I can go whole tone if I want. Now watch this, D minor, and then major. right? And even that is great practice. I mean, just because it's a generic digital pattern doesn't mean you shouldn't use it, right? You got to use it and get it in your ear, because this right here, if I'm on a C major chord and I play just a simple G major in the right hand, listen to how awesome it is to put a C in the bass and a G major triad a fifth away. It gives you a C major 9, right? And why that's so important, because just like I can do 1, 2, 3, 5 of the C major scale, over a C chord I can do 1, 2, 3, 5 of G major, and it's going to give me that C major 9, so this sound. Right? So we have this. Right here. And I could go. Okay, we're just talking about one idea. But now, hey, good to see you, Bill. Everybody say hey to Bill. Okay, now get ready, everybody, because I want to focus in on one particular scale for just a minute, and that is this Dorian scale. And as we approach our chord tones on downbeats, I want to throw a couple of things at you. The first one is this. Remember that although it's really great to practice all of our root positions, scales, chords, arpeggios, all that, because we can really get the chord tones on downbeats. We also want to practice on the different chord tones of that D minor scale. So I could go flat third, I could go. Even when I go up, notice that it stays chord tones on downbeats. I go F is the minor third, fifth, flat 7, 9, and then it logically gets to the C, which is the G, which is the fifth of C. If you understand that, got it in the chat. So right now I'm taking the Dorian scale, right, and going up. Sometimes they say you can play up to the ninth. It sounds really good, right? And you can go. That's just the regular scale. But watch, if I start on the third, now you have this. Imagine if you put that in all keys. Right? I just went here. Okay, so now let's do it in a few other keys. If we're in the key of F, we do, an F minor, and I played an F Dorian scale. Well, what's my cheat code for the F Dorian scale? It's like your E flat major scale, but I'm going up a whole step. So, but if I say I'm going to start on the minor third of the scale, now I start on the A flat, and then it beautifully connects to the root of that 2, 5, 1. Let's go back to the key of C just so we get it, okay? So if D minor is our 2, 5, and 1, I did D Dorian and G Mixolydian, which is a Mixolydian scale is also called your dominant scale. And what's important about that is whenever you see G7 or a C7 or an F7 or any kind of 7 chord where it's the flat 7, all you have to do is take your major scale and you flat the 7th note, and now you have what's called a Mixolydian scale or a bluesy type scale, right? It's your C7. If I see a C7, I can play all of these notes and it's going to sound great. And notice my chord tones are on downbeats: root, third, fifth, flat 7. And there are a few tricks that you have to learn, or you get to learn, is that sometimes you put a half step in between the root and the major 7 to keep those chord tones on downbeats as you go down, so you have this kind of sound, which is more of a bebop sound, which we'll talk about later. But let me go back to this idea of this is D Dorian, and if I start, and this is anytime you see the most common progression in jazz is 2, 5, 1, right? D minor, G7, C7. And so when I do this, I know that all those notes are going to work, and then for G7 I can use G Mixolydian, which are all white notes again, and then I can use C major. But if I want to change it up a little bit, I can do this. Instead of starting on D, the root, I start on the minor third of D minor. And notice that took me to the 5th. And now I could continue the scale. And if I want to, I could put a half step there. Okay, so let me do that again. Just doing all white notes. Okay, now we're going to get to start on the third, ends on the root. Yeah, so Rick is putting that in the chat, which Rick always does, and it's so helpful. Not only is this helpful for all of us, but whenever we teach others how to do things, it helps us get it as well. And so, like Rick putting that in the chat is going to help Rick, and anytime you guys interact in the chat, it's really helpful. I have some kind of weird-looking gnat or something that's flying around me. It's weird. Okay, so we have 11 people watching, trying to put that into words. You do a great job, Rick. All right, so watch this again. Just by starting your Dorian scale, which is normally just D, all white notes, is a great practice. But as you just go up to the minor third, you're getting a different sound, right? Okay, now let's talk about some different ideas. We're going to move on from that. Not much move on from that. But if I do the same thing on the fifth, what happens if I start on the fifth of D minor and I go? Okay, so then it kind of gets out of it. So that's the fifth of D minor, flat 7, 9, 11. So that actually works as well. I could go. And now I'm on the third of G, which is kind of nice, isn't it? And that's the third of C. Isn't that cool the way that works? Oh, now what did I do right there? This is really interesting. So here we are on the fifth of D minor. As a reminder, we're talking about the D Dorian scale, which is all white notes. When you play a 2-5-1 chord progression, the most common progression in jazz, 2-5-1, we're doing D minor. When we get to that D minor, you can play a D Dorian scale, all white notes. But I can start on the third, and I still keep my chord tones on downbeats. And then also notice what happens here. Ends up on the root of G. But what happens if I go on the fifth? Gets to the third of G. And notice that if I just kept going up, it ends up being on C, on the downbeat, which is kind of nice. All right, now here's what we're going to do. I actually really liked what we just did there, but we're also going to do some other fun things. I can do this. Okay, what did I do right there? Instead of this, I did this. Chromatic, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So I went to the ninth of C. Again, I'm putting half steps on non-chord. Wow, that does work out well. Yes, Rick, I'm glad that you're seeing it. And notice that you can put, when you hear this chromatic ideas, so everybody put a C in the chat. I want you to really get this down. Chromatic ideas, a lot of the time, they're on the offbeat, and it helps lead into something beautiful, often a chord tone on a downbeat. So if I did this, half step, chromatic, chromatic, nine, chromatic, third, minor third. Ah, look what I did right there. I went minor third, half step away from the third of G. Oh, this is a good one to just hang out on for a minute. So I'm going to start on the minor third of Dorian, chromatic, 1 and 2 and to the third of G. And watch this, 4 and then I get to the third of C. So even this, if I started on the 5th and I went, Vicky says chromatic notes help transition to new key. Well, let's maybe phrase it. It's a good thought, Vicky, but it helps us transition to the next chord, right? And with a downbeat, like outlining the harmony. And when I say chord tones on downbeats, I want you guys to know it doesn't mean I'm saying 100% every time you have to do a chord tone on downbeat. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you listen to Bach, Beethoven, all the great classical composers, and composers in general, you're going to hear tons of chord tones on downbeats. And what does that even do? It helps outline the harmony of whatever we're doing. If I just did chord tones in general, I go D minor, G, C, so now I put a few alterations in it, but you get the idea. I'm going D minor, G7, C major, A7, C. And then what I'm doing here is saying, yes, we want that sound, but occasionally what we want to do is use half steps to help make sure we're going to whine on an important downbeat to help. That's right, Vicky. To help transition to a new chord. So even in this D minor where I go, I use that half step, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I like that sound. I was looking for this 9th of C major. And even those closures where I go, my target note is the 5th. That's a downbeat, right? All right, let's go back to this one that we found here that we really like. Right? Do you guys like the sound of that? I could go and just loop that. All right, now, Rick, I need you to focus in on this one because you're going to have to put your words together and get this one. Yeah, I knew Rick was going to say something. So, Rick, watch this. If I start on the 5th now, and now I go, you see how I use that half step? To the 5th. And then I used that half step to get me to the 5th of C again. I went. And a chromatic to get back to the 5th. Chromatic. Now notice what I did there. I went right there. I used the chromatic to get me to that 3rd of A. Oh, and even more important, do you notice how I put that 1, 2, 3, 5 in there? Where we were just talking about this idea. That's where that kind of thing comes in. All of a sudden, you'll be playing a lick or an idea, and it will naturally flow into this pattern. You won't even know it. Okay, so I did this. I started on the 5th, right here. Even right there, I wanted the chord tone. I wanted to go to the major 9, so I went. Okay, now what we're going to do, it's 8:25. We're going to go about 10 more minutes, no more than 10 more minutes. Does it take mostly practice to end on the right note? Luck. Does that take mostly practice to end on? Rick, what a great question. No, Rick, the answer is what we do is like we do with everything. At first, we learn Dorian, right? We go to D Dorian the way it is. And then you're going to learn G, right? The scale as it is. And then you get this under your finger, C major right here. And then you start doing those where you line it up. You go. Okay, so you practice that, and then you start figuring out patterns by putting half steps where I do stuff like this. And that right there, I just went half step, and then I kept going up the scale, and it got me to the ninth. Okay, so let me do it again. Okay, now how about this? Yeah, because it still goes up the scale. Now, notice how I put a half step in there. So, Rick, right there, and what I'm going to do for you guys is, for our All Access group and Chord Academy, is I'm going to do a little, I've already been writing all of these out, but I'm going to put them in some kind of little PDF of just giving you exercises to play. This will be one of them. I mean, I could do lots of variations on that, but I just now came up with that one because I think it'll be a nice loop. You could go up. That'd be all the way up the piano. You go. Right? Isn't that fun to do that? All right, now there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about as it relates to this. So we're working on ways to use our half steps, right? And a couple of other things. So we started off the lesson by doing the 1 2 3 5 pattern, and I still want everybody to practice that. When you're on a dominant, use the regular 1 2 3 5. When you're in minor, do 1 2 flat 3 5. And just remember that you can use those in your improv all day long. Because what you'll notice is you'll get it under your fingers, and then you'll start making it your own. But this idea of 2 5 1. Even that is a nice little loop. But then you can start doing this. 1, 2, 3. Instead of 5, you go chromatically. Even that, notice that I did over C major, I did the alteration. Instead of doing C major, you can do G major on a C chord. Isn't that nice? So I did. And there I'm going chromatic. Okay, so that's a great one to write out. So I'll write that one out as well. So here's the next part, guys, is I love this idea of the third of the chord down to the third of the sixth chord and the flat 9. Right? That is one of my favorite things to do if I'm playing a blues and I get one chord and I go ba-da, or that kind of sound. And all that is the third of C, the C7. Chromaticism, and then you come down to the third and you can arpeggiate the flat 9. I think that's Sonny Stitt. right? And that's all that is. And so you take a lick like that and put it in different keys. Now we're talking. What a great little exercise that is. So then you start singing those. Okay, so here's the reason I bring that one up is because I want you guys to do in the key of C, we're going to work on this. All you have to do is this. If I'm on the key of C and I go, so we could actually do that as a lick. Sorry. Well, let me do it where it's gonna fit. Let's do it like this. That's a good one. That way we pause for a second and then we get to hear the third of C going down to the third of A. So we have. We could go da 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 da. What I want to do is maybe I'll just write out several different patterns. It's too nice to not do it, right? So there we started the minor third. Got to the third, and we start on the fifth. Or that's it. That's the loop right there. And notice that once again, Rick, notice how I went to that 1, 2, 3, 5 pattern again. And right there, you can always go back. And what's so nice about that for me is that it all fits right under the hand, right? You're going right here. 1, 2, 3, 5, and this gives you that flat 9 that I love. You can always use your blues. Just go. Watch this. You hear that a lot, right? This idea of the 3 chord to the 6 chord. That idea. And that's the third with the flat 9. That's that sound we're looking for this morning. We're going to go. right, guys. What a fun little lesson. And thanks for our all access group. Thanks for letting me travel back home yesterday, and we did our joint lesson today. And make sure everybody who is signed up to receive this. I didn't put it in our normal practice folder since we're doing a joint lesson between Chord Academy and All Access Academy. But just remember, these ideas are all on. There's 20 ideas for all keys. You got this, and you have this. I love that. And this one is, or this. Let's see. Anyway, you guys know the ones that I want you to work on. 20 of them. Have fun with those. Oh, look at the bottom one, Rick. It's number 12 where you go. Yeah, so it's you rest on beat 1. 1. No, you don't. You don't. That keeps it on downbeat. And if you want to put that in all keys, that would be nice. Right? All right, guys, you have 1 minute to say goodbye to each other, and I'll see you guys for All Access on Thursday for our full lesson. We'll tie all of this together, and I'll get those patterns written out. If you're not a member of our YouTube channel, I would encourage you to do that. That way you can get all this stuff. And, of course, you can always be an All Access member or a Chord Academy member. But a good place to start is if you join our YouTube membership. Lots of people are doing that. So great lesson, everybody. Enjoy it. Awesome, Rick. Good to see you. Again, as I like to give shout-outs as well. Dad, good to see you. Thanks for being an awesome member of everything. Vicky, for you as well. Vance, good to see you in the YouTube membership. Thank you for that. We have Rick, who is an All Access member. Thank you, Rick, for everything and all of your support and wisdom. Bill, thank you for being an All Access member. You're amazing. Awesome. Make sure I got everybody. Vicky, of course. I already said. Awesome. Yeah, guys, I hope you take one of those ideas from today. Go back and rewatch this. And, whatever it is, maybe it's this one where you go 2, 5, 1. Right there. That gets you with those half steps. It gets you to the 2, 5, 1, where you're not starting just on the roots. That's a nice feeling. So I can go minor third, third, third. Awesome, guys. All right, see you in the next one. Keep up the great work. It's fun.